Whoa, MC Murr in the house. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me know if the audio is all right here because I'm switching over to the Rode mic. Well, I hope you can hear me. Hey, Light Up, what's up, man? Missed you at too many games this past. I guess it was this past weekend already. Ah, it's buzzing. That sucks. Is it like horrifically bad buzzing that I need to stop? I should dress up like a pirate and show the arcade for the Halloween season here. Yeah, nice. I hope you make it out to too many games next year. I think we're only 8 months away. It's going to be June 24th, I think, is the next one that he's going to do. Yeah, it might be. Mer, sometimes when I use I'm using my actual Lumix camera right now. So sometimes when I use the direct power from the wall with this microphone, it does that, which sucks. I tested it earlier and it was fine. So I just kind of went with it tonight. It was a lot easier to set up than some of the other stuff that I had going on. Yeah. Ah, man, that sucks. See, every time I try to do something, take a few minutes and actually connect and do a live stream, there's some kind of technical issue. So the other mic goes out of sync all the time, which really sucks. So that's not a whole lot better. It's like I got to either go with this or I risk running out of sync. So whatever. Yeah, I streamed from the arcade last time. I think I did have everything set up in the basement, and surprisingly, it went better down there with concrete walls than it is upstairs with everything. I mean, this is pretty much what I use to record videos, so it should be fine. Of course, concrete walls in the basement with a bunch of CRTs running and all kinds of interference. That's where it's better. So whatever. Um, if it's too terrible, then you can just go, and I wouldn't blame anybody. What's up, Super Retro City? Good to see you, man. Yeah, I mean, if it's terrible and it's cracking and awful, just go. I won't blame you. What's up, Yellow and Black? Good to see you. It's been a while. I know it's been a while since I did any type of chat and chill, like July maybe. But yeah, too many games. It was really interesting last weekend. Too many games. I saw. I'm trying to think. I saw J Love and Discart Guy were the two YouTubers that I saw there. Obviously, there's their guests. James Rolfe is the centerpiece of that whole Screenwave con. But yeah, um, better than Mike Matei. Yeah, speaking of Screenwave, I don't even know if he's still with Screenwave. I know he left Cinemassacre, but I don't know if he's still affiliated with Screenwave or not. I actually would have assumed he would have been at Too Many Games had he been, because that is their showcase for all of their talent pretty much. And it's interesting. It's interesting from the standpoint of like it's fun, but and I'm trying to like figure out if the crowd that con attracts is because of the talent that's there, the guests, if it's like a one for one, or is that really just like organically, is that the crowd? Because a lot of like Pokemon, Nintendo, which is fine, right? But that is 90% of the fan base, it seems, that is at that thing. Um, Not a whole lot. It's kind of disappointing in some ways because they have that whole free play arcade area set up at Too Many Games, and there was a number of candy cabs there this year. There was the Versus City. I want to say there's three or four of those with fighting games. Street Fighter 3 was running on one of those. I'm trying to think what else. I want to say it was Marvel versus Capcom, and then maybe Super Turbo was on the other one. I might be misremembering at this point. But they had that set up. They had the Neo Candy Cab there. They had Astro Cities, Blast Cities. They had like a wealth of all of these candy cabs. And then there's some other machines there too. There was a Play Choice 10 that was running. I'm trying to think like what some of the other machines were. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is they have this really cool area set up with all these arcade machines, but there's no panel to talk about them or talk about the history of them or talk about like these Sega candy cabs or the SNK, and calling back to what I was just talking about with the crowd, like I don't know if the crowd's really all that interested in that, but is that a product of the guests and the talent that are there, or is that because they're not actually offering a dialogue about arcade games and about the pinball machines? And pinball was a little light this year. It was Primus, it was World Cup 94, oh, and Black Knight 2000, which is admittedly awesome. That's definitely the showcase of those three pinball machines, all on free play, which is usually, that's rare too. But I played a lot of Black Knight 2000, and there's one day I played a pretty fair amount of World Cup as well. But nobody to really talk about these machines or the history behind them, or to kind of source the crowd and take questions and hear what they might want to see next year. Like none of that. Like I just feel like that's such a missed opportunity at this con, because it's all focused on Pokemon panels and collecting for Nintendo and all that kind of stuff. And I will say, I hope I don't get his name wrong. Austin John Plays, I think that's his name. I actually, I'll be honest, I didn't know who he was until I was at the con. He's another Screenwave talent. He did a moderately technical panel on audio and on the irony of that, as I'm having audio problems here streaming tonight. But yeah, it was interesting. Because that panel was sparsely attended, and I think it was on Saturday, and it was on the main stage. But that's just very telling of the crowd that con is attracting. I mean, I was there, I loved it. I thought he did a really good job mainstreaming, microphones and picking up a good microphone for streaming or for YouTube recording. He talked about, chasing diminishing returns, and don't get into that. People are watching these things on their cell phones, and they're not, most people don't have like a big speaker setup and a receiver. He went through all that stuff, and I thought that was really cool. It was like one of the more technical things that they talked about. But people like Smoke Monster, Retro RGB, My Life in Gaming, that really wasn't represented, and I don't know if that's in the past because people don't want that. But that whole tech side that I think some people are into with the arcades and history, and then we get into like the scalers and measuring lag and all that kind of really nerdy stuff. It's just not there, and I hope that we see that come back. I hope that maybe that next year or year after they'll rethink some of that. But I don't know. Again, with Austin John Play's panel being so sparsely attended, and I don't want to make it out like, oh, there's nobody there, it was a ghost town. I mean, I'm saying for the volume of crowd that was there, because this is a big con, there were empty seats. There was a lot of empty seats. You could pretty much move around, and it's just very telling of what people are interested in, or the crowd that con attracts is interested in. Conversely, you go to Charles Martinet's his panel, right? For Mario. He's the voice of Mario. Everybody's there. There's standing room only, literally. Like people were packed into that panel. Anything James Rolfe related, packed into that panel, that main stage, standing room only. But then as soon as you go into anything a little bit more non-mainstream, then you had problems at this thing. So it's really interesting. I know. I hope that I hope they rethink that. So I'll stop talking for a second. See who's here. Hey, Jeff. Got Jefferson Taylor. Nice. Oh, Neo Severa. What's up, man? Good to see you. Super Dimensional, Chappie. All the favorites. This is the crowd. This is why I decided to stream a little bit tonight, because I like seeing these guys. So thanks for stopping by. No, no Godzilla. Unfortunately, I did hear. So really close to me, about 45 minutes away, York, Pennsylvania, had a pinball. I don't know. I don't say if it's an expo or I don't. You guys can probably Google it better than I can right now. But they had a show. My dad actually went to it, and he said there were lines to play Godzilla. So they had the pro machine set up, and I don't think he waited to play it. Have him be a guest on ScarletSprites and discuss it if he actually would have taken the time, but he didn't. I know one guy who did play it that I work with, and he said it was awesome. He said it was really good, a lot better than what he had expected. It seems like some of those Stern machines sometimes they get wrapped up more in the theme and the what's going on with just showcasing it as opposed to actually play. But he said the Godzilla was really a good machine. Stranger Things is really good. I played that a few weeks ago too. What's up? Oh, Black Multicam donating to the stream. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. 1/100th of a Neo Geo game. Yeah, I can pay off my Xeno Crisis cart. I can start working on that, even though it's been what 2.5, 3 years. So glad to finally get that in hand this week. Robbie, what's up, man? Good to see you. Mark, good to see you. Captain Retro. Yeah, Captain Retro, hooray for MC Murr. MC Murr, who is in the chat, YouTube content creator on the rise this week. So celebrity status in the house. That's a really big shout out for MC Murr to get called out by YouTube like that. That's really cool. So congrats to that. Do I own any pinball machines? I don't. I've played a lot of pinball more recently at the beach a couple weekends ago, and then like I said, I wanted to go to that York Expo, but went to Too Many Games instead, and then played a little bit at Too Many Games of the 3 machines that they did have. Primus isn't all that great. I don't actually. Personally, I don't think it's all that great. I don't know what reviews are on that machine, but Black Knight 2000 is pretty awesome, and World Cup was better than I thought it would be. And I saw one of those for sale locally not too long ago, and it went fast. So I was assuming it was a pretty good game. I don't think I've played that since the 90s. Oh, did I hear about Xeno Crisis? Yeah, I know what you're referring to. It's really hard to believe, actually, with all the testing that Bitmap Bureau did on that. I know they were sourcing all the different Neo Geo motherboards, and then they were going out and they actually bought a cabinet. And I know Mike spent so much time like just wanting to make sure he got it right out of the gate. But then I think the issue is with the Unibios. I think if you're playing it on a Unibios, the stereo mix is a little off, which is really strange. So how that escaped them, I don't know. I feel bad for them because they're really nice guys, but it sounds like a fix is coming. I know there's a temporary fix right now that you can use, but for the most part, from what I've played, it doesn't really bother me all that much. If the moon were made of spare ribs, here's a fun fact, Nick. I actually don't like ribs. I just don't eat them. I just don't like ribs. Am I going to Retro World in Connecticut? No, probably not. I don't know too much about that one. I think I saw a few people, other YouTubers, people on Twitter that were going to that, but I'm probably not going to that one. Yeah, Captain Retro missed too many games. I missed hanging out at the hotel on Friday night and Saturday night. There were, I had I didn't really have any common I guess friends to hang out with that I knew all that well, or as well as you and Murr and some of the other guys on here. It was actually I was kind of like out of my league a little bit. Friday night I think was Spawnwave, Dreamcast guy. James Rolfe was like hanging out in the parking lot. It's like all people that like have no idea who I am, right? I'm just sitting there drinking a beer, like just pretending like I'm a hotel patron. So no big deal. The soundtrack for Xeno Crisis, I got the CD with, because I think boy, again, it was like 2.5, 3 years ago. I don't know what package it was I ordered from those guys when I bought it, but the MVS cart and package that I got from them came with the CD. I've got to crack that open and take a listen to that this weekend. I bet it is really good. The James Rolfe groupies smell like parm. Yeah, I'll say this about James Rolfe. I know a lot of people were down on him. He did this Rex Viper band, right? Like, and I think some of the songs, the cover songs, are up on the Cinemassacre page. There is something appealing about a guy just doing whatever the fuck he wants. You know, like he just was like, I don't care if this is what I want to do. I've done 15 years of angry video game nerd, and at this point I just want to play in a band, and he just does it. So you know, say what you will about it, but there is something I think you know, a lot of us could relate to, wanting to just say fuck it and do whatever you want. So yeah, I don't know, it was cool. The Rex Viper stuff was pretty good though. It's hard to mess up when you're playing like Rocky songs in Philadelphia. Like nobody even cares how good you are. They're just, everybody's just, you know, it's late at night and everyone's maybe had a few drinks and you're just listening to that. The Back to the Future, Power of Love, Mighty Wings from Top Gun, like you're not gonna miss on any of those songs. Like those are all like slam dunks, like even if you're not that good. And crowd loved it, and it was a good time. What, what's it, Captain Retro? You're invited to Screenwave stuff. Yeah, how'd you let me in here? Yeah, I mean, I wasn't invited. Let's be honest about that. Like, I was just there. I happened to be at the same hotel as everybody else, and I'm, you know, hanging out at the con for the weekend. It wasn't like, I mean, there was a on Saturday. No, it was Friday night. There's actually there's a Screenwave party, um, and there's a sign up that says like invite only, or you know, like it's basically, you know, you talk about gatekeeping. There's there's somebody sitting there at a table basically making sure none of none of the less desirables are sneaking in to steal a cookie off the table behind him. How's the Halloween lineup coming? It's going all right. I think you guys probably saw some of the machines that I had up and running in that video. Splatterhouse was the big call out. Everybody was like, "You don't have Splatterhouse." I know, I don't. I'm hoping that comes out for the Mister Core. Oh, that was another big topic at the con, because Metal Jesus Rocks puts out the Mister video, and so like semi-mainstreams Mister that weekend along with Metroid Dread, and everybody's talking about that. And then because it's just so funny, again, talking about like the tech side of things, and that crowd at that con not really being the market for that kind of stuff. And then you have people talking like you see this Mister thing, and you know, a lot of people have been doing Mister for years. It's not like some new thing, but because Metal Jesus Rocks just talked about it, now everybody on the con floor is like talking about that along with Metroid Dread. And you know, people are. I did have I talked to Discard Guy a little bit about it, and him wanting to get a Mister. I mean, I think a lot of like people that, like you guys in the chat and that follow me on Twitter and whatnot, you guys all know what that is. But again, it just speaks to who that crowd is. It's the Nintendo Switch people. Oh, that was the other thing. At the Psycho Stick concert, they were making a joke about Top Gun, and it just, you could just tell it just fell on, like it was just deaf, like across the crowd. Like nobody understood what they were talking about. And I forget the gentleman's name that's like the lead for Psycho Stick, but he's like, how many of you people are like actually born after 1990? And three quarters, if not more, of the crowd, hand right up. It's just fascinating, like that. It is a little out of my element, but I think if they touted, again, not to harp on this, but if they touted a little bit more of the technical aspect, brought in My Life in Gaming, brought in retro RGB, had panels, and sold some of the tech stuff, and some of like the more niche things and the arcade stuff, the pinball machines, I think you could still pull in that group. I think there's still people, you know, I don't want to speak for the people in the chat, but people my age, 40 plus, that would still come to this and would probably enjoy it. I did see the console version of Mister. I did see that roll out. I, I, I think it's great for people who want that. I went back and forth a little bit with somebody on Twitter. For me, I like the little brick that Mister comes in. Like, all I'm using on that thing is the USB port on the front. I'm plugging a controller into that. I got the snack connections on the side, and I'm good to go. I don't really, me personally, I don't gain anything out of putting it in a bigger case. Now, I understand the standpoint of people saying, like, they don't like how all the wires come around the thing, and how you got, like, kind of like the whatever, right? It looks like a mess. For me, it doesn't really bother me because it's so small and it just sits there. I don't personally feel like I need to consoleize my Mister. It already does what I want it to do. It's hidden mostly on a shelf, and again, the USB port for me is on the front. I just plug it right in and go. I'm not really thinking about it. So I think it's great if people want that. Have at it. Lily, never have seen Top Gun. I just don't even know why you also, Lily, you mentioned, I was like, okay, what did James Rolfe's band play at the concert? And I was like, Mighty Wings from Top Gun. Lily's like, I don't know what that is. I never seen Top Gun. I was like, okay, well, they played The Power of Love too. Lily's like, I don't know what that is. I was like, have you ever seen Back to the Future, Lily? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's embarrassing, frankly. Yeah, no Top Gun for Lily, no Back to the Future for Lily. Yeah, Andy, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm not busting on that for people who actually want it, but it's like, do you want to do you want to supersize your Mister? Like, that's why I didn't understand. I didn't understand, like, what functionality we were gaining from having it put in a bigger case, and I don't know that you necessarily are from what I was reading. It's just kind of everything all together in one, and it's more neatly organized, which is, if you don't have a Mister, maybe that's the way to go. Maybe that's how you want to roll. Should show Lily reaction to Top Gun. Well, she's got to watch it soon because I'm going to be seeing the sequel, I think, in December, right? Isn't that when the sequel for Top Gun comes out? Finally, I feel like that movie's been made for like a year and a half. They've just been sitting on it. All right, so you've seen Back to the Future, but you don't know what The Power of Love, like, it's like the theme song for Back to the Future. How do you not know that? Oh God, you're looking up an AES, and oh man, I would not recommend that at this point. Buying a Neo Geo AES and carts, boy, I just don't know if I would go that route. Somebody was giving me a hard time about having MVS carts versus AES carts, and I was just like, it was once on Instagram and then again on Twitter today. There was like an eye roll, and I'm like, it's the same damn game. It's the same code. If anything, let's put the whole, like, grading games for money purposes and the value of games and all that stuff. Let's put all that aside for a second and not think about gaining monetary value out of games, because AES, for sure, obviously much more expensive. You can flip them for a lot more money if you own them, right? MVS is like the arcade. It's the original arcade versions of the games. Like, I think that's badass. I always thought that was badass, and that's why I collected MVS carts since about 2007, 2008. Like, cuz I was like, wow, that's like the real deal. That's like, and I'm like, why are you giving me a hard time about that? Like, why AES versus MVS? I actually don't even know that Neo people argue with each other about that. It's one of those things that's just understood. It's like you went one direction or the other. It's the same game. I mean, obviously AES is, again, it's the home version, and there's less of them, so they're expensive. But MVS is awesome. I mean, that's the original arcade, rugged and ready to go. Yeah, game prices in ridiculous are game prices in general are ridiculous. Saw that at the con. Saw a lot of that at too many games. It's almost unfortunate because at night at the hotel or even at the con on Sunday, listening to vendors kind of talk to each other about how they were doing in sales, and I don't know that it was great. And again, that is purely subjective based on a few overheard conversations. But I'll tell you, on Friday, when I first walked into the con, there was a box of Atari cartridges, which is always my go-to at any con, just because Atari cartridges are always cheap. You can always flip through them, a couple bucks, and you can walk away with a few, cartridges that you forgot about, or whatever. You can easily add to your collection. And GI Joe was in there, which is near and dear to my heart this summer. And there's a few others I had in my hand. I was like, how much are these? And the guy says $20 a piece. When he said $20, I thought he meant for like the 5 that were in my hand. And I was like, okay. And so no, they're $20 a piece. And I was like, all of them? They're all $20? And he's like, yeah. Now later on Sunday, I noticed that same box was marked to $10 a piece. Now these are 2600 cartridges. And there's commons in there. Gorf, like who's paying $20 for a Gorf cartridge? That's just wild to me. That I don't know. There were some other things then too. I mean, obviously I'm out of the loop. I made that post about Dune on Sega CD being $100. I didn't know that was $100 game anymore. Apparently it is, I guess. I mean, that's what there's a few sold for that on eBay. But then that just raised the question of, again, Discart guy and I had a quick conversation about this. He's like, I'll just buy this stuff on eBay, and at least I got seller protection. If it's crap, or it doesn't work, or it breaks on me, whatever, like I've got seller protection through eBay. It sucks. I don't want to go to eBay, but I'll just buy it there. Why would I pay the same price for something here? I actually can't even see if it's working here. A lot of these vendors don't have like setups, or there's just no way to even test the games to know if they work here. They're just relying on their word. Now, obviously, I would think that people there are reputable and they're not selling you crap that doesn't work on purpose. But yeah, if you buy something that's 100% working on eBay and you get it and it doesn't, you have some recourse, but not so. I did find somebody that was selling arcade PCBs. One guy, he had 3 different boards. What was it? Time Killers, I think he had, and Champion Edition, and maybe World Warrior. I wasn't really interested in any of those, to be honest. But I was thinking the same thing, and they're just laying on the floor. People walking around them, moving the box with their feet. And I was just wondering, like, how would we even test to make sure these things work? Like, and they were covered in dust. They were filthy. I don't know what he wanted for them, but that was just kind of the scene with some of the stuff out on the floor. That just, talking to a handful of people who were, just shopping there. Yeah, these are all eBay prices, and that's been the case for a couple years now at Too Many Games, that most of the stuff priced out on the floor is, you're not walking away with any deals or anything. Yeah, $20 on Gorf. You read that. I'm seeing what else is in the chat here. I've spoken with people at Analog before. Are they planning on putting out any consoleized MVS? That was a long time ago that I did actually talk to somebody over there, and that was in regards. It was about the Neo Geo, and there was interest in doing it, but I don't know. Like, those guys are struggling at this point to. I think what the Pocket thing was the debacle. I've never actually had a problem getting anything from them personally, but I know the one thing that I didn't get was that Pocket, that analog Pocket device, and I heard that was a debacle. The pre-orders, and Elijah Wood tweeting out that he couldn't get one, and all kinds of chaos ensuing. But And then there's still the Turbo. I don't know if they're what are they calling it? The Turbo Duo. It's the Turbo Duo, but it's not. I forget what their name is for it. But that the TurboGrafx 16 unit that's supposed to go up for they have something tomorrow, don't they? Is it the 16th? Oh, does my Xeno Crisis play in all four slots of my Neo Geo? Oh, it only plays on the first slot. That's interesting. So does it only play on the first slot? Oh well, let me ask this: do you have other carts in the other slots? I guess, like if you do, you have one, two, and three populated, and then dropped it in the fourth slot, and it doesn't work. That would be what I would want to know. But interesting. I actually have not popped it into my cabinet yet. I have it upstairs here. I've been playing it on the consoleized MVS that JNX did for me. The Analog Duo, there it is. Yeah. October 16th, that's tomorrow, right? Yeah, it is. Yeah, wow, how about that? Halfway through October already. Only slot one with all the other carts. I'm gonna what board do you have? I want to know so that I think I'm a MV4F, I think, on mine. I'll have to check, but I'm glad you said that because I'll test that tomorrow. Yeah, Bernardo, you're probably right. Like it seems like they're having trouble getting stuff out the door, and so to redesign something else. And boy, Neo Geo is interesting because I how many people are really interested in the Neo Geo? Like I don't know. I especially with like original carts and stuff. Like you'd want to have. I would assume if you were going to make an FPGA based analog console dedicated to Neo Geo, you would put both the AES and the MVS slot on the same machine, similar to what they did with Famicom and NES for the Nintendo unit that they did. But I don't know. I just wonder how much interest they would get on that, or have people already adopted a Mister at this point, or are just playing, or a Neo Arcade Stick Pro, or and they're fine with that. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if there's enough interest to do Neo Geo. Oh, the analog. Oh, the original analog MVS when they were doing like the wooden ones. Yeah, I've heard varying things about them, like the build quality being really good, but some issues with like the video output being like not great, like it's not amplified enough, and it's kind of like a weak fuzzy signal, and I want to say there's no component on it either. It's might be S video might be the max on that one. You might not have missed out as much as you think. Uh, Demons of Astborg. I don't know what that is, unfortunately. What's that for? What's Demons of Astborg or Astborg? What I feel like it's almost like Bart Simpson calling Moe's Tavern. And I'm supposed to say something funny there. I don't know what that game is. Yeah, I like the Mister for Neo Geo. I know there's some sound issues that people still complain about. I think Puzzle Bobble has some weird quirks to it. Presumably, well, I've heard that it's being worked on and they're trying to address some of that stuff, but how soon that stuff turns out, I don't know. It's for Genesis. Yeah, I don't know. Is it a new game? I don't is like a homebrew? The N64 Mini. I don't know about that. Like I feel like it's been teased so many times and people keep thinking that that's coming out. I mean, clearly they've got the emulator for it and it works. I mean, why do that though when you can charge people? Well, is it $30? Did I see that right today? Is it $30 for extra to play N64 games on the Nintendo online service. I mean, I think there's some other stuff you get with that, but I thought that's what everybody was complaining about today. Yeah, I know what Hypernoid is. I do know that one. I haven't played it yet. I'd have to get the ROM and load that up on the Mister, but I've not had a chance to try that out. I know it's like an Arc. Yeah, yep, exactly, an Arkanoid clone type game. Yeah, the N64 controller for the Mini would be interesting because if you think about it, for the standpoint of the NES Classic and the SNES Classic, those controllers are, I don't know, I don't want to make assumptions, but I have to think they're relatively easy to reproduce with the molds and D-pad, some buttons, right? You get into the N64 controller, like that thing is, it's big. And then you've got like the D-pad, you've got the analog stick on it. I wonder if that has something to do with, I don't know. If they make it, people will buy it, but I'm sure that that's going to add cost to the N64 Classic if and when it ever comes out. The controller alone is just probably going to be, it's going to add cost to the machine. Who can I recommend you to buy full-size cabinet art from? Um, Sabo's Arcades does really good work. There's a couple different places online that will do it. I know a lot of people tend to shy away from Escape Pod. That's like really the only one that seems to have hit or miss quality. But Sabo's Arcades does really good work. Sometimes you might have to ping him a little bit. I know he gets backlogged and then falls behind on stuff, but everything I've gotten from him has been pretty good. I actually used him for the overlay for Smash TV, and he did the marquee for that, did the marquee for Terminator 2. So good stuff. I've got experience, going to him. Mid Geek Crisis, there he is. Nice to see you, man. Good evening. So $70 for N64 Switch online. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I've been in this battle before, right? And we don't need to have it here again tonight on a Friday night, but like I feel like you could get an N64 and the games that are worth playing, all 10 of them maybe, and just own them and be done with it, right? Like I mean, kind of oversimplifying, and I know that you're going to go in for more than $70 for that, but I guess the point I'm making is how many games are there really for N64 that are really worth it? I mean, you got, I mean, I'm assuming like they can't even put GoldenEye up, right? Am I correct on that? I'm assuming like GoldenEye is a no-go for whatever it was that Nintendo announced because of licensing. Maybe you get Perfect Dark instead. Do I collect more than I play? I've stopped a lot of that. Once the Neo Geo collection finished, I really haven't bought a whole lot of games anymore. That's actually one of the, I think, the positives at Too Many Games is that I went around looking at stuff. I'm probably more of a hardware enthusiast at this point than I am actually looking at games. I mean, even from an arcade standpoint now, it's how can I get the most bang out of a PCB? Like, is there a DarkSoft kit? Is there a multi-cart for it? Like, I'm all about like just trying to like let's run it on original hardware, but let's get the games or the ROMs or whatever to it in the most economically feasible fashion. The Animal Crossing DLC, man, Murr, you're in for that. Nobody loves Animal Crossing like MC Murr. Yeah, GoldenEye's not happening. I figured there's no way they can, and that's something that somebody, I would feel like that's like one of the top games I'd want to play. So yeah, I mean, back to that, I really haven't bought a whole lot. One of the things I wanted to do was finish off. I have some complete in box NES games, and I started collecting all of the SNK produced NES games, and so I've got quite a few of them. I'm missing a few. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Um, I think Little League Baseball is one of the ones that I'm missing, and a few others. But that's really the only thing at this point. And it's almost like wasteful. It's kind of like what you're saying. Like you're collecting it just for the sake of collecting it and putting it in like a, I don't know. I probably I haven't aggressively went out and looked for those, so it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, you're right, Andy. So all the rare titles are owned by Microsoft. So you have to work out some type of licensing thing there, which would be really interesting. Yeah, mid geek crisis. Yeah, I mean it's all like I recently even like hardware that I'm not all that familiar with. If I find out there's a way to uh, to play additional games on it, you can kind of do a conversion or whatever. Then I'm instantly interested in it now. So like the Taito GNet system that I really didn't know much about it. It's basically a PlayStation type hardware, and the guys in the Mr. K Discord were talking a little bit about it. And there's a there's a BIOS, a special BIOS you can flash to the board, and then you can load up all the games on compact flash cards and slide them into the this board and pretty much play the entire. Well, you can play the entire library, and then there's even some games that have been hacked basically to run on the GNet board that were running on a similar. I think one of the Darius games was moved over because it's on the same type of hardware. It's kind of like a Sega Naomi and a Thomas Wave situation where it's they're so close together that if you're crafty and you know what you're doing, you can I guess quote port the game over and it'll run. So that's what people did. So the GNet board, I've been playing with that. I'm not a big early 3D graphics fan, but I mean it's a board that runs an entire like library now. So like yeah, I'm in for that. SNK can make coffee tables, and I'd be overpaying for. Yeah, like I mean, I bought like that. I don't know if you can see it in the shot. It looks like the chat's covering it up, but I bought the that little. It's called a table. It's got to be a mistranslation because it's not really a table. But it basically you could hang it up on the wall. I bought like these rubber coasters that have the Neo Geo logo on them. Just all kinds of crap that they were peddling on their store initially, and that beer mug. Yeah, you can. Well, no, you can't quite see it. But yeah, I'm a sucker for all that kind of stuff too. You can get a Sega Astro City at 250. Wait, the Sega Astro City Mini? Is that what you're talking about? Sorry. Brooklyn Games. I at some point I do have to get up there because so many people that I talk to on Twitter and do good work for the community seem to hang out there. At some point I got to make it up there, and maybe on a trip up to Long Island again, I'll swing through Brooklyn and then back out to the island just to make it a trip. Yeah, wow, 250 for the Sega Astro City Mini. Yeah, I don't know that I'd pay that for it. I would say, and I think I did say this before, that the arcade stick from Sega was really the centerpiece of that Sega Astro City collection. The controller itself, the little gamepad isn't bad either. I use that on Mister, but the Sega Astro City arcade stick. I mean, as far as something goes that's been produced by a major company and at retail, it's not a bad stick. I use it for that. I use that for the Mister as well. Yeah, Mid Geek calling out all the names. You got Bob, I fix it. Jose, Beast, yeah. I love all those guys. Rexer Show is in the house. The Mister Multi System is ready to order. Yeah, we were just talking about that, Rexer. My thoughts on that were like I know Mid Geek. I don't see. Look, you brought that up, and Mid Geek Crisis is in the chat, and he's going to challenge me on this now. I think he and I just have different opinions on this. For me, I like the brick. I like how it is. I like it small. Got the USB right in the front. I'm ready to go. I don't need anything else. Mid Geek brought up the point that he doesn't like all the additional wires. It looks chaotic. And if you don't have a Mister, this is a way to go that kind of dresses everything up nicely, packages it more towards looking like a console, puts the power cord, all that stuff that you would normally have in the back. So I understand that perspective on it. For me, I mean, obviously at this point, I'm not going to buy another, well, shouldn't say that, but I'm not going to buy, like, go out and buy another Mister or buy this just to have it like consoleized. I'm fine with my brick, but I think definitely it's something to consider if you don't already have a Mister and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a cool little package, I guess. Hey John, welcome to the chat. Yeah, Rexer, I think you missed a little bit of the too many games chat too, and talking about how the crowd there was a little bit more Nintendo-y as opposed to some of the guys that Mid Geek Crisis just called out, or the My Life in Gaming guys. The tech aspect and old school hardware and those types of talks just weren't well represented at too many games. Lily, I'll buy what I want. You're not telling me what I'm getting. I will give you props, Lily, that you've allowed 14 arcade machines to be hauled into the basement. That's I mean, I can't really push it too much beyond that. More big cabs. I wouldn't mind a Hydro Thunder. You start getting into those racing machines. God, those things are just they're space hogs. I mean, at this point, from a racing perspective, it's virtual racing and it's Daytona in the basement, and that is probably it. Like you don't want to just have like, well, maybe you do want to have like walls of racing machines. I don't know. That wouldn't be a terrible thing. Oh, Pat and Ian have been saying the culture's changing at convention. I did see Pat Contri actually. He was riding the elevator down when I was coming down and said hi to him. He has no idea who I am. But that's interesting. I haven't listened to their podcast in a while. Just haven't. Oh, look at that. More Lily Plays videos. They were fun to watch. See, Lily, Lily said she wanted to play potentially Halloween games this weekend. So maybe that's a video to make. Pole position or outrun. I think pole positions have like they've kind of got like this become notorious for breaking. At least in a lot of the like threads that I've read about them, it just seems like they're constantly problematic. But outrun, that's definitely a classic too. I see people buy like turbo outruns and then just convert them back to regular outrun. Laser Bear's iPad Mini CRT replica. Wow. I think I did see, I saw some posts about that. I know what you're talking about. Bring back Lily. It's terrible. I bust my ass for this channel, filming things, writing things, researching things, and like, and then everybody just wants to watch Lily play games. Like, you guys should go to a Too Many Games convention. That wasn't nice. I shouldn't say that. Oh, Lily's asking now. She's like, she doesn't trust me. As if I didn't just do a video on all of the arcade games available that are Halloween themed. As if I didn't just do that. Now she's asking for recommendations. People want to see Splatterhouse. If I've learned one thing from that video, everyone's saying I need a Splatterhouse. And then people, of course, are calling out House of the Dead too, which wasn't running when I did that. Yeah, that was kind of annoying, that panel that I did for Uplink when I talked about arcade machines, and that was 2 summers ago, I think, at this point. At the end of that panel, when I was taking questions, Corey from My Life in Gaming is like, "Hey, when's Lily gonna do more videos?" It's like, again, just busting my ass filming and recording and editing and trying to stay on top of things. And at the end of the day, I could just film Let's Plays with Lily, and that's all people want to see. Oh, nice. So Lily doesn't even watch the videos. Phenomenal. Yeah, Nightmare in the Dark. I think Lily could get behind that one because I think it's got an easy premise. Not busting on you, Lily. I think you would pick it up fast and you'd be okay with that. That'd be a good one. I actually think Lily played Splatterhouse on the TurboGrafx 16 Mini when we did that, and I think I don't think you liked it. Yeah, one a month or two seems reasonable. I would do that. Like, to be honest with you, like I'm only half joking. It is far easier for me to sit here with Lily and record it and record gameplay and then just edit that and throw it up. It's so much easier to do that than it is to think about what I want to talk about, put the points together, record all that, and then go and film footage for things. Like game capture stuff is relatively easy to do, and that just fills in all your B-roll footage. And instead of it's just me just talking, you can overlay like the gameplay and whatnot, and cut back and forth, and it's all done. Whereas if I'm talking about something like one of the arcade machines or a new product or like that JAMA extractor video that nobody watched, not you fine people in the channel, but in general, like those people at the Too Many Games Con that didn't watch it, that video took forever to do. And then there's just really, I don't want to say there's no rewards for doing it, but it's a lot of work for very minimal exposure on something like that, versus it's so easy to just do Let's Plays and capture the video and throw that stuff. I mean, all you're doing is taking the video from the camera and then your footage and just marrying it up, and you're off, and it's done. So, I mean, if that's what people want, I can easily do that. Have I finished the GI Joe cab? So it's kind of it's 99% done, and it's been sitting at 99% done for a while. Oh, thank you, CT. Great content, not just for Lily. See that? Nobody's donating to you, Lily. That's for all the hard work I do on arcade machines and bringing content that matters to the channel. Um, so the GI Joe cabinet, I think some of you might know that uh, there's no free play option on some of those games, and so you have to wire up an additional button for like GI Joe and for Turtles when you're in 4-player mode. Sunset Riders is in there now. And so what I did was I just took the coin mech buttons and I pulled them through the bottom, like where the coin return is, and I've got these little black buttons that I gotta put in there. So I kind of want to hide it because I know some people they'll drill the control panel and put the buttons across the front of that. I just didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to try to make it as subtle as I could. And so I have all the parts. Maybe this weekend I'll go through. I think I probably need like a little bit of foam or hot glue. I don't really want to hot glue the actual coin return though and make a mess or ruin anything, or make a mess like if I ever want to take that out. But this is all this to say it's 99% done. It works. It's functional. It looks great. It turned out a lot better than I ever thought it would, especially like doing the whole laminating process and applying. Like I've never done that before, and it turned out really really well. And thank Rexer and Joe Sabo for their videos for showing that process, and I was able to just turn around and mimic it. So yeah, GI Joe's 99% done. If I can get those buttons in this weekend, then that's another video I'll film, and I'll throw that up, and it'll be done. Much prefer I talk instead of just doing videos. I know, like this is easy, right? Like aside from the technical difficulties we're having with the microphone earlier, this is relatively easy, to just sit here, talk about things I've done or where I'm at, talk to people. Um, yeah, like streaming is pretty easy too. I'm not good at playing games and talk because I get sucked into the chat all the time and looking at what people are talking about and wanting to just talk, and then I'm not paying attention to the game. Have I gotten my copy of Xeno Crisis? Yeah, I did. Let me see. I actually have it sitting right here. Um, been playing it off and on. I probably, honestly, I haven't logged more than an hour with it, and then this weekend I'll toss it in the cabinet downstairs. So yeah. Yeah, it's funny, kind of making jokes about doing the arcade machine stuff and all the tech work and filming all that and putting it together. And I was talking to Retro Ralph a little bit, I think it was earlier this week, and we were saying, like, if you think about who did, well, I don't say who did it best, but who like the most popular arcade YouTuber was, or maybe is, I don't know, is or was. But we were saying like it's John's Arcade, right? Like that guy, like, he's got a great channel, has done tons of work. He documents the entire process. I can't even imagine how much longer it took him to restore some of those machines, filming it and just all the it's unbelievable to me. And we were talking about like that's a guy that like busted his ass. I think he's at like 50,000 subs. Like he's not even halfway to a play button, and we're just like thinking about like what does that mean for us? And I know Ralph's probably close. He's at like 44, 45 or whatever. I've been hovering around 11 for the entire year it seems, and that's fine. But it's just funny thinking about how much more of a niche audience there is with stuff like that, as opposed to that younger crowd that's into the Nintendo Switch stuff. It's tough. Yeah, I think he kind of gave it up, Andy. I think he just went back to just do it. It's a real easy thing to, I can tell you, like from personal experience, right? It's easy to. I mean, that's why I think I put one video out all of September, and that's a result of basically all of August. I'm not doing anything related to the channel. I was actually working on GI Joe. I was working on Smash TV and getting that stuff done and working on the hobby that I enjoy, that I love, and getting those machines rehabbed and restored. And I just can't, I would never get them done. Honestly, I just don't have enough time to do that film. It would never happen. The only thing I can really do is show the machine when it first comes in the door, sort of, maybe when it first, like maybe a couple weeks after I have it, which I do. And then maybe an intermediary video, and then at the end I'll show it all done. But filming all that stuff as you go, like John did, I mean, that guy deserves a Purple Heart for that. I just can't even imagine like flipping things on its side, gluing, painting, stripping, and having to like reposition the camera every time. Like it's wild, like to think about him doing all that. Um, but yeah, it's a great channel. Yeah. Seriously, Rexer, like if you want to grow, that you nailed it. Like you need Minecraft, get some Fortnite going too. And talk about, Nintendo Switch. Tomorrow's video should be the top 10 games you want to see ported to the Nintendo Switch. Instant views, guaranteed. You'll pick up some subs. Who's the one person that always puts a thumbs down? There's always like, it's funny because I'll post a video and you're right, like the video's not even up 30 seconds and somebody has like thumbs. I'm like, like, I mean, that's just, it's kind of special in a way. Like, you got somebody that's that dedicated to like getting that notification, because obviously they're still subscribed, they've rung the bell, so they're just waiting for the ScarletSprites notification to come through, and I'm gonna like hit that dislike. Like, think about all the steps that are involved in that. Like, it's kind of flattering actually in some ways. I love it. I have an enemy. I probably have more than just one. Um, yeah, there's a guy who was mad at me. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? Um, who thought I was like deleting his comments, and he kept leaving more of them. And I went in and they were, it was like the whole held for review box on my YouTube channel was this guy like saying, "Why are you deleting my things?" And just calling me names and all kinds of stuff. Like, because you're writing trash comments. It's just, and YouTube's flagging it. Like, it's such garbage content that you're writing that YouTube is flagging it for me. I'm not deleting. It's being held because you didn't have anything interesting to say. It's just, it's very interesting. Oh, the Metroid Dread Special Edition. Nice. I saw that. I saw it this past weekend. I think Walmart had a few copies of it, and I almost bought it. And I'm like, why? Why? I don't have a Switch either. I'm like, why am I going to impulsively buy that? Not that you shouldn't, if especially if you're collecting Nintendo stuff. Like, I get it, I understand that, but I stopped myself from buying it. At some point, if I need to play it and I get a Nintendo Switch, or if the next Nintendo system is backwards compatible, I'll grab it, a copy of it, and play it. But not, I didn't need the collector's edition. I stopped myself. It's like I said earlier, I'm stopping myself from buying stuff I don't need. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know what Roblox even is, or Robolox, or Roblox. I don't even know what that is. I have no idea what it is. Living rent free in someone's head. You're right. Arcade One Up channel. It's funny, like that's the struggle I think Ralph has had, because Ralph did a ton of Arcade One Up stuff, and I think really built a lot of his channel on uncovering the Arcade One Up stuff and kind of blending emulation into that. And I kind of knew that was coming, that he was wanting to go back to just doing straight arcade stuff, and there was some concern there that that wasn't going to translate because the Arcade One Up crowd probably, well, I shouldn't say probably, a lot of the Arcade One Up people are not interested in the original hardware and stuff, and um, that's it. Some of them are, right? Like, it's, if you're just talking about the games and the history of things, like there's no reason you can't be into both of those things. But I think he was a little concerned about making that flip. He's in the process of it. I think it's going okay. He's still live streaming and doing cool things. And I saw his Baby Pac-Man video. I thought that was really good. Speaking of machines that notoriously break and are a pain to fix, those Baby Pac-Mans. But yeah. I had a guy doing that for a while too, Andy, that would just write first on my on my video, and like, okay, like that's cool, I guess. Like, I mean, but he wouldn't. It would be like seconds after the thing would go up too. Like, he would just write first. All right. I mean, at least he's commenting, I guess. That's fine with me. So yeah. Well, we're coming up on the 11 o'clock hour here on the East Coast, so I thought I'd probably do this for about an hour and see how everybody was doing, check in, and talk a little bit about too many games, and uh, didn't get quite into Xeno Crisis yet, but maybe we'll do some testing this weekend and then go from there. But yeah, would I ever get a pinball machine? I mean, is Lily still in the chat or not? I mean, I'll say yes. If I would definitely get a pinball machine, 100%. Um, but yeah, they're not cheap by any stretch. 2 p.m. Australia, right? Right, yellow and black. That's where I think you're Aussie. So, but yeah, it's 11 o'clock Friday night here. So I just want to stop in, say hi to everybody, talk a little bit about Too Many Games, Xeno Crisis, see how everybody was doing. It's awesome to see all the familiar names that I know from the comment section, from Twitter, and who pop into the live chat all the time. It's really fun. So I definitely got to get into doing this more than I have in the past. So I hope you guys all have a good weekend, and I will try to get one of these pulled together for November, if not sooner. Oh, Mid Geek, you didn't have to do that, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for donating. I really appreciate that. That's more than I expected. I will definitely use that at the winery tomorrow for sure. So thanks everybody for coming in and joining, and look forward to talking to you guys on the next video. Take care, everybody.